Uh, uh, okay, okay, that is, yeah, everything should be running, I guess. I, yeah, I don't know. Here we are, wow, wow, surprising, amazing. So, anyways, life, life is a coincidence. What? Eh. Also, wait, yeah, what's going on? Why is 70 not working on my? I kind of overlooked that one thing. It is not working, and yeah, I do wish to have a 7TV working. Like, it is quite nice to have a. Oh, there it is. Uh, I don't know. I guess. No fucking idea. Anyways, so we we have that. Also, what? Discord, yeah. Discord notification. Wow. Uh, Copyright. I hope so. I can close every other thing, I guess. But yeah. Uh, I want to check. Is this saved with one? What is this? No, yeah. Nothing really changed, I guess. So, yeah, I am fully, let's say, ready after some while. And I don't know, it seems kind of crazy to do the glare so early. Something like, yeah. And not only I am back, we are going to be back completely. Let's say we are going to try to be as back as we have never been in probably, I don't know. I think I had like 1 week in which I was minimally consistent, but besides that 1 week, I didn't, yeah, I have had the rest of the whole year an incredibly huge amount of inconsistency, so I guess trying to work on that is certainly interesting. After all, also, I didn't even take notice of that. I guess we're already almost on the ninth month. I don't know how far or how close we are from the celebration of uh, Twitch affiliate and all of that to begin with. I didn't even pay attention to that. But the point is, since this year, it has been quite a notable thing. The amount of inconsistency that I had, yeah. And I don't know, certainly I am not searching for any kind of blame, but it is quite, without saying anything particularly specific, it is already quite bad by itself that I did miss so many chances, I guess, in that sense. After all, there is always something interesting to talk about, but it is more like the desire to not try and say something wrong is stronger than the interest of trying to even say something good, I guess. But yeah, eh, we will see, I guess. As I said before, if I said it, I don't want to make promises, but at the same time, I think it is kind of meaningless if I don't say that I will try to properly get back from here onwards, let's say. Starting today, it will be quite good to be minimally consistent. Yet again, after all, also, I didn't even. Yeah, it will be a lie. To a certain extent, it also has other things besides what is shown, let's say, but it will be a lie to say that I don't want to try to be consistent. So, yeah, that is also perhaps going to happen, but yeah, I don't know. What I know is certainly that we are finishing August. I didn't even expect that, but we are here already. So yeah, quite quite nice in that sense. I I guess it has happened that we have uh, we have survived so far, to say the very least. In that sense, life has continued successfully, I guess. But yeah, uh, it is quite crazy to consider all of that. After all, you didn't expect to see so many things going on in that sense. But yeah, we are here today, and because we are here today, everything else is fine, I guess. But yeah, life is but a coincidence. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I am kind of waiting also on that. I don't really want to start directly with that, but I have had quite a huge amount of troubles figuring out exactly with what I want to be with, let's say. So yeah, we will see how it goes in that sense. Also, I don't really have any particular one idea, but after all, as always, the continuous cultivation of the potato makes it so that there are so many things to talk about. That is kind of the only wonderful thing in that sense, that there are always things to try and mention, that there is always stuff that ends up becoming worth of paying attention to. So yeah, that is in this case also a great benefit to being here. But yeah, eh, we will see how it goes. After all, I I was I was kind of thinking about it. Yeah, I can save that for a little bit later, but I have been trying to think about it in a more not serious way. It isn't like this isn't serious, but rather in a more consistent manner, I guess. So yeah, trying to work towards that is going to be quite hard, but I guess also the possibility of making it not simply work or function or something of the sort, but rather to experience something truly good in that sense, and to be capable of enjoying the benefits of also trying something like that. We will see how it pays off. After, I guess, a month or so, I will have to work towards that, so we will see how that goes. But yeah, today, 24th, it is kind of the beginning of a new time, of a new month to a certain extent. But anyways, hello, good morning, good evening, good night. Here we are. After so long, we are back, I guess. And I wouldn't want to say we are fully back, but at the same time, I wish to believe we are without any other inconvenience existing today. So yeah, we are here today. I I remember that meme of today. I woke up because I woke up today, and I decided to wake up today. So yeah, something along those lines. Basically, here we are. Nice, I guess. The possibility of returning has arrived to a certain extent, so it is simply now a matter of trying to make it, in that sense, work, I guess. I I do like the proper words for that. Like, it isn't like it can't work. It is more like there are so many things that are hard to properly handle that to make it work means to make so many other things also get ordered around in life in general. So yeah, the point is I will have to see how it goes, but we will try to make it to any degree exist in a consistent manner, let's say. So yeah, here we are. After a week, I think it has been, we are back, and this time around, just like I don't know, the last 5 streams probably, there is nothing really particular to talk about. I guess I will properly always begin with that, like what has happened so far. I Since the last time, I don't even remember if particularly the last time, but in the last time I think it there was something like I did get the possibility of the by yeah, okay. I think I didn't work on that the last time, so I had this one video that I wanted to watch, and it was from a series of this guy that was I don't really know the name, the title, any of those things. I think it was a philosopher or something like that who was talking, and there are some videos with him where he's being kind of interviewed. And since the last time, that is what I wanted to say now. I have been trying to consume all of those interviews that he had. It is a series of interviews that he had that are very entertaining, and I I guess to a certain extent it is always worth of the time to try and pay attention to what other people have to say in that extent, in which you can always hear what other people think about the world itself and such, but there is also this side of sadly you really don't know if what you are trying to learn about is something that feels good, that does any kind of good, or rather it is an idea that you might as well have already thought about yourself, and that doesn't really change anything. So there is always this need to sacrifice some time in order to discover that, and sometimes, yeah, one of the many problems, I guess, of language is that the way in which you can say things make it so that there is this possibility always of perhaps what is being said might drive to a different conclusion, not because it truly is something different, but rather because the way in which the sentences are being structured make it look like there is a possibility of going into a different direction, which isn't truly exploited, let's say. So, in that case, it has been a constant battle of dealing with repeated ideas, but here and there, I guess, you hear stuff that sounds very, very well, and after all, the whole existence of oneself, let's say it like this, you also have the possibility of integrating inside of yourself knowledge that other people say as yours because you can see that it makes sense in any kind of way. And with this guy, it happens something of the very same nature because it is the possibility of learning something quite wonderful, something quite entertaining from somebody who is willing, as much as they can, to share what they have thought, not simply in a superficial level, but rather one of those preoccupations that they had about the world. And I guess it is wonderful then to analyze that first and foremost, and after that to fully see if it can be in a way accepted and used in life. So yeah, I am quite in that sense. I guess the best word will be grateful for that opportunity. After all, yeah, it becomes more and more amazing to realize that you have so many possibilities to hear great minds nowadays that it is surprising that we are not even encouraging people to try and find out somebody who is very well learned on any kind of art or whatever. But yeah, paying attention to that guy has been quite a nice adventure, I guess. And it does lead to a lot of useful ideas later on. The only problem is it takes, once again, it takes time, but that is part of being alive, I guess, that every single thing takes time, and you can ignore what takes time, or you can, on the other hand, dedicate yourself in order to attain what is promised after some degree of intervention from your own side, I guess. And having that now feels good, but I guess time is kind of hard in that sense to properly use and to properly have at hand. But we will see, we will see. So yeah, that is basically one of the many things that have happened since the last time, I guess. I also, I wouldn't lie, I I haven't talked about it before, so it shouldn't come as something strange. I haven't continued with my studies. It is kind of hard, indeed. After all, studying for a career, particularly, is kind of complicated here. You end up learning that there are too many tasks that get assigned to people in order to make them feel kind of overwhelmed by default. So you either learn how to adapt and overcome all of those difficulties, or you end up, if not, dealing with the problem of there are too many sides in which you need to be paying attention to in order to attain a proper learning course, let's say. But with enough patience, I guess it will happen and it will lead to somewhere. Meanwhile, it also is the opportunity to keep being alive, mostly, that gets fueled and that gets consistently used, let's say, in order to be somebody who can enjoy their own life, let's say in the simplest of the terms. So yeah, that is quite fun on one hand. On the other, it always is quite weird, but mostly it is fun. So yeah, seeing how all of that goes, I guess. But anyways, let me. Yeah, I need to adjust. I didn't realize I was so far away from the whole desktop, so I will need like 1 minute to get closer, and also in the meanwhile I will drink some water. Give me 1 second. Uh, so, okay, I'm back. I finally adjusted everything, and now I can also be closer to the microphone. And I don't know. I think it is kind of problematic to a certain extent. Let's say because it allows me to not have to talk louder to a certain degree. That is bad. I always dealt with that problem of being somebody who barely speaks up, let's say, in terms of volume. So it is kind of like perpetuating the very same problem throughout time, but I guess it isn't really that bad. it isn't really that much of an annoying thing. You can learn how to deal with that, and you can learn how to accept that, let's say. So yeah. Anyways, continuing. I yeah, I was saying I have been continuing with a lot of the other things. I yeah, I am kind of stunned by that. I didn't even expect to have such an experience this year. It had been quite a surprising one to a certain degree. I I find myself quite amazed by the fact that there have been so many ways in which the educational system, at least here, has failed, but I guess that isn't really my concern, nor obviously, or even less, something that I can personally change. So it becomes more and more a preoccupation of the rest in order to not even feel bad about it. Not because I shouldn't feel bad, but rather because trying to deal with something of that degree becomes impossibly huge when you realize that there are indeed too many ways in which the problem might get observed without even beginning to understand how you might truly solve something like that. But yeah, I I had been continuing with the educational process, I guess. It had been quite a it is quite a nice opportunity after all always to continue learning and to continue making usage of the time in order to cement yourself more in something that seems to be validated by the rest, but at the same time, still, it doesn't really satisfy anything else on a more personal level, so it gets hard some days to fully find it a reason, yeah, a reasonable expectation to have something that you can properly, with all of the good justifications, pursue. So yeah, it gets quite complicated, but at the same time, I guess it isn't really that bad. It simply is the process of adapting and then learning to love something that you have to deal with so much. I mean, it also is very, in that sense, very much the same thing as you learn how to love what you hate, because if you can do what you hate as if you love that, how much easier it will be to do something that is going to be harder for you. So yeah, it is in that very same wavelength that I guess I am pursuing continue with all of those things, but it takes time, and that time sometimes doesn't feel like Easter at all. I guess I don't really pay attention to all of those things, but anyways, that's basically so far. Since I wanted simply to give a quick update, I guess I I had been having too many things to deal with, so it becomes quite a necessity to properly order anything and to give it a proper structure in order to, yeah, this is everything that has been happening. On a more, yeah, I guess, as always, there are still things that are not there, like on a personal level or whatnot, but all of those things, as it will be expected, are understandable that they don't even get mentioned to a certain degree. So, thank you for your patience, I guess. But meanwhile, everything else is there also to pay attention to, not just this. So, yeah, continuing into a different direction, I guess. And well, yeah, I kind of wanted to go back to this one idea of learning from other people because it had been very much that process that has continued throughout time. I guess I did talk with somebody. I don't even know how long it was. It was with Mokua some time ago. I talked about this thing of if I had to give it myself a kind of description, it would be pretty much I am yet again back on retreat, on a personal retreat, I could enjoy the possibility of of not having to worry out other people, and I am back to that degree of retreatment in which others might consider that isolation. I don't think so, but even if they call it that, I don't really have the possibility to change it. I simply, what I wanted to say is, in doing that, it always is an underlying chance that you can very much enjoy discovering and yeah, making usage of different type of knowledges that you can harness from life itself. And it has been yet again a presented opportunity to do something like that in these past times. I don't, the problem is I have lost the time measures yet again. If I had to give it a sense of your orientation, I will say perhaps I don't feel like we are in August at all. I think mentally I might be stuck in like the beginning of winter or something like that. If I had to be real, I I sense like I am a little bit behind, but at the same time there is also quite a huge amount of information that I have been processing. Not something that I feel just because I haven't done anything. Like it did happen in past times of my own existence, I guess. But the point being made here is the possibility of learning from so many places becomes so amazing that I I I haven't yeah, I am still struggling with the understanding of why is it that we don't talk about learning something so much more entertaining than the normal type of entertainment that we possess in our lives in general, I guess. It is it is something that you can, if you try it, incredibly easy replace or incredibly easily replace. And I simply had been on a personal level using that very same thing that I have kind of already learned how to replace to yeah to keep feeding the brain. I I do find it quite an amazing thing to build up so many ideas and to build up so many concepts into something even bigger. It has become quite a wonderful yeah habit to be capable of using time in order to gain all of those things and to use also, let's say, the possibility of gaining a kind of knowledge that might lead to a positive outcome. Use all of those things in a good way has become quite a not just an enjoyable because everything can be simply enjoyable. It is like I guess if I had to give it some type of proper description, it is like the fully justified adventure that keeps also being rewarding enough to not simply pursue, but also to see as the properly good acts that you can take in order to achieve any degree of, I guess, gains. In this case, they are mental gains, but yeah, it kind of very much relates to almost any area of life. So yeah, it simply is about having those type of gains and such. And yeah, basically that. It is quite entertaining to have all of those things happening and to have the opportunity to let them properly happen in life. And I don't know, I guess, as always, if I had to give also a type of message is personally, I am going to try and see if it is possible for everybody else to see it as I do, as something so beneficial for them that it might as well be one of the next steps to take in, I guess, in the evolution that we have as human beings. I don't know. I Something along those lines, probably. Just basically justifying that, yeah, we are we are doing incredibly. I don't know if that is the word that properly fits this scenario, but obscene stuff with what we had been gifted from this realm of existence. So maybe doing some degree of tabula rasa, wiping the slate of clean, will be useful, but perhaps not. So yeah, basically that I guess I have been analyzing it, and I have been trying to give it a proper sense of being something that can fully find itself being motivated to the rest and yeah, no no other observations in that sense. It is just like that. And I don't know. I guess it is kind of, once again, going back to what I mentioned before, it is kind of bad to see that people struggle so much with something that can be so good, but simply saying that it doesn't really change anything at all. It is more like in trying to make a different situation and trying to manipulate, I guess, the human being that is on the other side to take those actions that, or when you do that, it is then that you finally see it as not just justified, but rather as a worthy some reward of the efforts that you put instead of doing any kind of favor. Because also, even if it is something like, let's say, something like an addiction, which you fail to contain, just the fact that you tried to help somebody with those things can be quite, yeah, quite positive in the whole sum of the existence that we have all around us, I guess. But I don't know. At the same time, I don't really know. It has become also, I guess, if I had to truly ask it, it had become also a completely vapid experience, the one of observing that there are so many ways in which you might interact that lead to nothing. But yeah, it is simply, in general, it is the constant struggle between the world of ideas and the things that you need to process, and on the other side, our own minds, which might get lost in any kind of thing. But yeah, thank you. I didn't expect that. That was that was quite a surprisingly new experience, I guess. I I don't know. It simply is like that, I guess. But yeah, that besides, what other thing has happened so far? One of the many worries, I wanted to mention this at least today. One of the many worries that I had today, or not particularly today, as always, something that exists in the back of my mind, and that I tried to work out in any sensible manner, has been this idea of why do we need to be here for so long? I I understand that the need of there is a particular way in which the medium of content creation, let's say, requires so much presence of those who are trying to create any kind of content. Here in a place like Twitch, it is fully justified that if you are trying to win any kind of growth, you are going to also sacrifice, let's say, the time that you possess to be capable of creating a long enough publicly displayed array, not just of content. It goes a little bit beyond content. It is like content and commitment, and from that side is understandable, but from the other side of, and while that happens, it also is kind of true that here we don't fully gain any kind of easily accessible, I guess, yeah, after all, knowledge, but it it is in accepting that you realize perhaps we can not worry so much about those things and we can keep going without having to deal with any other problem in that sense, and without having to suffer any kind of negative consequence that might come from being a little bit more constricted by time, I guess. Because it isn't even a constriction, like something that truly impossibilitates you from doing something else. It is just we are trying to accomplish something, let's say X, and when you try to do X, you learn out that also that there is a Y, and this Y might seem like an intimidating one, but you don't really have a need for Y. You just simply should need to be concentrating. If you aren't concentrating, I am deeply sorry for you to learn just now that whatever transpires here might need, might be occulted behind a veil of, yeah, of a simpler type of matter, but it is still incredibly good. And yeah, I don't know. I I guess there's always this thing of you might have too many worries. I don't see my hooves red or not my the hooves of, yeah, of the world itself, I guess. But at the same time, it isn't really that bad, I guess. It's just like being alive, something that you experience from time to time and that you learn to accept. It doesn't need to be that negative or that harmful. It is just like something that you end up being habituated to, and something that you, with enough patience, can deal with if you try to, right? But I, I, I guess it is being surprised by these kind of things. What constitutes this life as something? Yeah, personally, will describe it as amazing, but I also need any kind of problem just because I said something like that. So yeah, that is that is the end of the second thing that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, I why if I had to choose any other thing in a different topic, if I had to choose one different thing, I I have started to accept. I did mention that before. Starting to properly accept other things that might seem outside of what we are habituated is becoming not just a necessity but rather also something quite complex to properly do. And it can be entertaining. It can be also quite nice to try and enjoy personally. But because it takes so much time, nobody can truly say, yeah, this one thing in the middle is going to be left exactly in the middle. And it doesn't need to be like that, but I don't know. It it simply is like that, I guess. And yeah, I I don't know. I really don't know. It is one of those situations in which even trying to admit that you do realize that something bad happened, nothing changes. No matter how much you try to, yeah, you try to anything, nothing changes. But yeah, I, I guess that is to a certain extent what I have had in mind. I don't know. Being organized with all of those ideas is quite hard. As I said before, as of lately, because I have so many things that I wish to talk about, finding just one in particular gets complicated. But slowly but surely, we're going to do that even more now that, as I have promised already, we might as well try to be consistent to any degree. After all, I don't think there is any kind of obligation, but it is always there the possibility of enjoying doing something that might lead to go to consequences. So yeah, I understand it. Anyways, yeah, let me check something. I okay. What we are going to do is this. This is this is going to become a right. So this is going to become consistent, a consistent type of behavior. And in order for that to become consistent, I have to be myself consistent. Because of that very simple reason, so far today, we're going to call it a day, but it is also starting from today that it begins. We will see. I will be here tomorrow. Probably a little bit earlier than today, also to not be so tired. But yeah, we will see how it goes. And perhaps, if everything goes well, probably on Monday, we will also finish the last lesson that I needed to finish from the lecture course of psychology that we had been watching since last year. So yeah, we will see. I have kind of high expectations in that sense. But anyways, so far today, that's all. I simply mostly wanted to make that one um, idea known. Starting from today, things will finally take a change for the better. And yeah, I guess what I can say that also is kind of related, kind of not, is I will be trying to upload more videos into YouTube. I have finally found a way in which it can be substantially concrete the way in which I take the content creation of YouTube, because I had quite a huge amount of struggles in trying to find any way in which I could say something interesting without repeating what I have already talked about here, and in the shorts thing that I also have been working on, and I finally found one way that it can be made work. So we will see also about that. Anyways, I have nothing else to say particularly right now. So if you excuse me, thank you for everything, but I prefer it a very, very short one instead of overstaying, let's say. After all, as I said before, this is just the beginning of something else. Finally, we will see how it goes. Tomorrow we will be back, and the day after that, and the day after that too. So yeah, anyways,